Hey everyone, my name's Tenebris and welcome back to Road to Vostok. Today we're going to talk about an idea I have for the perfect bolt animation. One that would hit as hard as the bullets we'll be throwing, and even better, would be something to earn and work towards in the game. Turning something we normally take for granted in video games and actually turning it into a skill that we need to develop, invest time into to become skilled with, and ultimately will reward people that enjoy the calm and steady pace of the bolt-action sniper rifle. My idea is simple on paper: progressive bolt animations that get better as you use bolt-action rifles, offering a unique form of progression that's personal to the weapon type. This is something that I want to focus on while covering news and giving feedback to the developer, offering an idea that I've been thinking on since shortly after the game's first devlog, which is having one of the best FPS progression systems to match one of the best single-player hardcore games on the market, the ultimate goal of Road to Vostok. I've got more ideas related to reloading, recoil, aim sway, and more that we'll be going into over the next couple of weeks here with my RTV content, so please, stay tuned for more. A progressive bolt animation could start with us carefully bolting, as if learning the motions, or really kind of figuring out the bolts and getting used to using a manual weapon like this in combat. Gradually getting a more exaggerated and faster paced bolt animation, showing your character get more comfortable with use. All the way till you reach the end game, where your character would be slapping that bolt around like a heated game of tennis, showing that they have become essentially a master of combat bolting. This progression of speed and efficiency would line up to what a real-life experience would be like. If you were out in the apocalypse using a bolt action for weeks and weeks, you'd eventually get so efficient and used to the weapon that you'd be much quicker and more natural with it over time. Which is my idea for a progression system in a nutshell. A system that's believable and more importantly grounded in what true-to-life progression would be like in a post-apocalypse. Progressing your bolt skill would be an excellent task for the early game, and would have long-running benefits all the way till the end game, where you maybe could find a late-game bolt-action rifle to really put those skills to use. Putting a suppressor on a bolt action and moving around with your high efficiency would be a great approach for stealth play, and this all would be a progression that could be natural through a playthrough or benefited by grinding and practicing. In the early game, your animation would be slower, like your character was being careful, making follow-up shots with the bolt action a equally slow process. Meaning, bolt actions maybe wouldn't be the best choice for live combat when you first pick one up. A pot shot or two, yes, but fully fighting it out with someone better equipped than you is likely not a good idea. This would be a good way to balance bolt action rifles, as they tend to be quite powerful with rounds like 308 or the Mosin 7.62x54R. With the slower bolt animation in the early game, these weapons can maintain believable high power results while not being the beat the game type weapon that they have the potential to be. At least, not immediately, but here's where I think progressing the skill of bolt actions could be a ton of fun, and combat could be rewarded with something a bit extra than just the loot that we get along the way. The idea is that in order to progress the bolt action skill, all you need to do is simply bolt the rifle, and if you bolt the rifle while being shot at, you get 3 XP points instead of 1, meaning that when fully engaging enemies with the bolt action, it would be the most efficient way to master it, but you could still progress the skill on the side. The progression of this skill could be very slow, so that not only is the process gradual, but also so that you're even more implied to get into combat and use bolt-action rifles. I think a very long grind would benefit Vostok, as it would give us something to continually progress and work towards, even while preparing to head to Vostok, or potentially avoiding the Vostok side completely if permadeath ain't your thing. But here's the fun part of what my idea entails. Stealth kills wouldn't be any more beneficial to your character than target practice, as that's entirely what it is. It's only in the moment that an AI sees you and starts shooting at you that the experience buff would be active, as a kind of risk-reward thing. You risk the combat and either losing gear or getting injured and get a small reward of better progression down lengthy grinds. I think it would provide just that little bit of extra motivation to getting out, exploring, and getting into bigger and more dangerous combat scenarios. But the idea that skills can still be slowly progressed when having downtime outside of combat is a big one I'd like to keep through all skills. This would allow for even higher grind caps before you get to the end rewards of mastering skills, which you would really want to do, as the end result would be more than satisfying. So for the end result I have in mind for bolt actions, let's take a look at Far Cry, because these games have some of the most exaggerated bolt animations that come to mind. Now, it's not to say Road to Vostok needs AAA level animations, because that's extreme. These games have hundreds of people that work on them, so it's not the quality we're looking at. It's more so the energy behind it. The pacing. Even though it's a little faster than what I have in mind, it's a great hyperbolized form of bolting to show how your character could act and be like in the end game after clearing your way to Vostok and eventually through Vostok. You're going to want your character to be as badass as you feel after tackling that mountain of a challenge, and having your character bolt like their first name was Usain is definitely a way to achieve that battle-hardened feeling that Vostok will give you. This process of starting out with a extremely slow and careful bolt animation, then growing faster and more confident gradually until you reach the max level and have some of the slickest bolting in all of Finland, I think it would be a really fun progression. You'd have to put in time, you'd need to source ammo for the grind, but any and all usage of bolt-action rifles would progress you closer towards being the second coming of the White Death to everyone that crosses you on either side of the border. It would be a process of dedication to the weapon archetype, a huge time investment, and ultimately a big thing to do in the world of RTV. Taking your character and hardening them through intense combat until you are the stone to throw through the walls of Russia. So, as I said earlier, I have a bunch of ideas for a unique progression system, and it's something that I'm going to be putting out as a series of videos over the next couple of weeks. Just shooting these ideas to the breeze and seeing if it's on a similar wavelength to what the developer, Auntie, is on for the future. If you're following Road to Vostok or want to chime into the conversation, please do so. All ideas are excellent and just add to the creative melting pot that are my videos. So sound off in the comments below if you have any ideas for bolt actions or progression systems as a whole. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Subscribe to stick around for all the Road to Vostok content covering Patreon builds, the beta, all of its updates, and everything else as we go through the years here. Cheers folks, and I will catch you all in the next one. Until then, peace.